What if I told you that self-confidence isn't what you think it is? It's not about being bold, loud, or impressive. It's not about walking into a room filled with strangers, making them laugh, entertaining them, and being the life and soul of the party. And it's not even about standing in front of a crowd of thousands of people and giving a speech and regaling them with stories of your past. Confidence is actually something much, much deeper, and it's something you can become, irrelevant of how awkward and uncomfortable you feel in your own skin right now in this moment. So in this video, I'm going to share the real secret for lasting confidence, especially for us introverts. Because I've learned that confidence is not about fixing yourself. It's about understanding the feelings and emotions that are buried, suppressed deep down underneath. Cold tea before we get into it. So if you're anything like me, you're probably more comfortable around animals than people. You probably walk down the street and when somebody's coming the other way, you get into your head. You think, do I say hello? If I look at them, they'll think I'm weird. If I look away, they'll think I'm ignoring them. What do I do? And you'll end up just taking your phone out and pretending that you're doing something with that instead. Shyness and a perceived lack of confidence can be extremely painful. It's raw and you feel like you're broken and not enough. Now, if it's okay, I wanted to share a story about my own, what I've come to call how I was crippled by shyness in my youth, because I think it'll help resonate and show you what I was like and where I am today and how I worked through that. So my mum used to do house cleaning for a lady who lived a couple of miles that way from where I am today. And I was about 3 years old and she used to take me with her. And on this particular day, she was cleaning and there was a knock at the door. And the lady came in. My mum invited her in, and obviously I was 3, so I didn't know what the conversation was. And I instinctively just hid behind mum's leg. And the woman said hello to me, and I kind of meekly, shyly said hello. And my mum stopped, and she looked at me, and she said, say hello. She scolded me for not being confident enough. Bear in mind, I'm 3 years old. She scolded me for not being confident enough, for not speaking out. And I remember the lady saying, oh, he did say hello. And I felt like, oh my God, my guardian angel, you accept me for who I am, this quiet, shy boy who doesn't want to scream and say hello and jump all over everybody. But my mum was always too worried about how she looked. She felt embarrassed, like she'd made a mistake with this child. She'd broken them somehow, so she felt like she'd be judged. And I carried that lack of confidence with me all through my life, my teens, my 20s, my 30s. I dropped out of sixth form college when I was 16, not because I told everyone, because I just didn't want to do it. But I was, as I said, crippled by shyness. I hated my wrists. I thought my wrists were too skinny. But I physically couldn't talk to people. I couldn't make new friends. I was alone. I felt like I was broken and nobody understood me. Until I discovered alcohol, and then I became the life and soul of the party. I had a big binge drinking problem. I would get blind drunk every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, because drunk John could talk to people, could talk to women. And I then built this personality based on a complete and utter lie that I really struggled to break free from. So as I alluded to at the start of this video, and I think I will say it on the thumbnail, that you've been doing it all wrong. And the idea behind that is that your belief, your idea, what you've seen out there on confidence and how to become confident is somewhat broken and misleading. And I tried all the techniques. I tried to fake it until I make it and just do it and push myself. But those things are really quite surface level deep. They don't address the fears and the pain underneath. And what happens is when we try these tactics, when we try and fake it until we make it and we ultimately fail, we beat ourselves up more. We fall into a shame spiral. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I'm not confident. I'm broken. And it repeats. So my promise is here, as I said, to give you a fresh perspective. And I'm going to try and use a trusty whiteboard somehow. So it struck me that we've got levels of advice and help out there. So at the top, you've kind of got friends and family. Excuse my handwriting, but this is just for a bit of, there you go. So they will try and advise us and as best they can. Then underneath that, you have coaching. And this is the kind of, You'll talk to people, you'll see gurus online, self-professed gurus. You just got to fake it till you make it. You've got to do the hustle and then you'll become confident. That doesn't work. Then underneath that, you've got therapy. So things like CBT. And I will write that in the pyramid. There we go. It's a CBT. So that's looking at what it is that you want and reprogramming the brain to feel more confident, to become more confident, to affect behavior. And then we have what's underneath. This is the crux. This is what we call developmental trauma. Therapy or work, whatever you want to call it. Now that is the thing that changed my life. There we go. And I do that on the bottom because developmental trauma effectively underpins everything about us. It's these solid foundations, because when we work on our trauma, we understand that we're not broken, that we just simply didn't get what we needed from an early age to build a strong foundation for life into adulthood, which is why we feel like we lack confidence. We feel like we're not good enough, where we call ourselves introverts. And I hope that makes sense. So the traditional model of building confidence will be the kind of coaching level, or perhaps CBT or a therapy similar to it. They will give us these techniques to work on, but because we're not addressing the pain, the shame, the guilt underneath, trapped in our nervous systems, we don't get to the core root of the problem. Let me know in the comments below if that resonates. I'd love to hear from you. And then calling on the whiteboard again to explain what's actually happening, what's going wrong when we don't feel confident. Let's draw that now, and apologise, my drawing's terrible. So it's going to be a stick man. Stick men don't have 4 arms. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. There you go. So that's you. So when we're in a situation where we don't feel confident, or you think of a situation, you think of one now, public speaking, meeting strangers, a new partner's parents, whatever it might be, going for an interview, when you feel a lack of confidence, what's happening is, let's try and use another colour. We are, let me write it here, disconnected. We are disconnected. I'll get this right one day. Disconnected from our bodies. So we are completely in our heads. We're overthinking, we're worrying, we're panicking, and you might notice it. I used to go bright red because literally when I was in a situation, I used to go into a shop to buy a Mars bar, and especially if there was a girl behind the counter. Now, when I was a teenager, probably early 20s, I would go bright red and embarrassed. And that's because I overthought. I was overthinking what I had to say, how I should stand, how I should offer the money. What if she asks me a question I don't know the answer to? So I was trapped in my head. And the whole thing just kind of short wires and explodes. We can't cope with that. We're not connected to who we are. We're not connected to ourselves. We're disconnected. Now, what's happening in that moment? As I say, we're telling ourselves that we're not good enough, we're not worthy, and then we just try and escape the situation. But actually what we should do is try and reconnect. So what's happening in our nervous systems when this happens? My teacher calls these, let's put it there, the lid. So that's like a lid. Think of it as the lid of a dustbin, trash can if you're American, saucepan, whatever it might be. So we have very much here, let me draw an arrow, this might not work, a big fat arrow. That is our life. Shouldn't have done this, should I? Energy. So that's our life energy, and our life energy works upwards through our body, through our core. That's who we really are. But lids come down to suppress that. This is our shame, this is our guilt, this is whatever it is. And that pushes down. There's the lid. So if you can imagine the lid in there, there's a battle between who we truly are, our life energy, let's get some water, and all our stuff, our toxic shame. I don't deserve to be happy. I don't deserve to be confident. I'm not confident. And it creates this almost tug of war. It's a clash. If you can imagine this energy that comes up and this suppression. And if you get anxious, if like me, you suffer from anxiety, that's usually a sign that we're ignoring something that's really true for us. So some emotions. So if there's resistance, if there's something you really want to do, but you tell yourself you're not good enough, that where those two meet, that push down, that suppression creates a sense, a feeling of anxiety. And all your anxiety is a signpost that you're ignoring an emotion. My teacher called it, Gaia Polini, she called it, in a session once, it was really beautiful. Anxiety is just a feeling that needs to be felt, or needs to be expressed, or needs to be explored. So these painful emotions that are going on underneath just need to be looked at, to be explored, to be noticed. And again, I hope this is making sense. Please let me know in the comments below if it is, or especially if it isn't as well. So just to recap, that life energy, that is the truth. That is who we really are, that's coming up for us. And the downward arrow, those are the lids, those are the things that suppress us from being who we are. Maybe we feel like if we're our true selves, we won't be liked, we won't be loved, we're not good enough. Now, if you're an introvert, maybe you're into gaming, maybe you enjoy time alone, whatever it is, we generally shame ourselves that behavior isn't okay, because we feel like society, family, whoever tell us that we should be more outgoing, more extroverted, more confident, we should believe in ourselves more. And yes, a lack of self-belief is bad, but the way out of it is to actually acknowledge who we are and where we are today. I'm 43. I don't do it so much now, but I was still gaming up until a couple of years ago. I literally don't have the time. And there was shame around that. I shouldn't be able to do that. But it's who I am. There was shame and guilt around the fact that I love to take myself wild hammock camping just for the weekend, because I need time away from people and things that overwhelm me. All of these things we tell ourselves we shouldn't be able to do. So if you're still with me and you're watching this video, clearly you're an introvert, because you wouldn't have got this far, or you're struggling with confidence. Then somewhere you've got this idea that you should be someone or something that you currently are not. Let me say that again, and hopefully it will resonate. There's this belief in you that you're broken, that you should be someone or something that today, as you watch this video, you're not. And that's simply not the case. Not the case at all. Because who you truly are underneath, think of the examples of the things that you truly love doing, where you most are happiest, the time that you spend in your life, where you're smiling and you feel relaxed and calm and there's no pressure and you feel expansive and open. That's truly who you are. But the shame and the toxic guilt, the stuff that suppresses us, are the messages that we get that that's not okay. Who we are is not okay. And if you remember, I've erased it now, but the pyramid, the triangle that I drew, the developmental trauma, it's the messages that we got from a very young age that we weren't okay as we are. We weren't welcomed into the world. We had environmental failings. So hopefully, to give you the complete new perspective on confidence, you're starting to see that actually we don't address the brain, because our minds are the thing that's actually telling us that we're broken. Over time, we've got these neural pathways, these patterns of behavior. What we have to do, remember the suppression, those emotions that we're suppressing, are the ones that actually tell us, do you know what, John, insert your name, whatever your name is watching this, you're not a bad person. And those hobbies, those interests, those passions, those peccadillos, those quirks in your personality aren't, well, they might be strange, but that's okay. But they're not signs of weakness. They're not signs of lack of confidence. It's just who you are. So we have to look at what's suppressing that. My teacher calls it the personal lie. What lie are we telling ourselves that who we truly are isn't enough and it isn't okay? So an invitation to do a small exercise. Actually, I was going to say first to write down or think about a time when you didn't feel confident. Now you can do that and just scribble it down. A situation kind of in the past few months where you felt shy, you didn't feel confident, and just write down how you felt. Did you feel tight, constricted? What were you thinking about yourself? What were you telling yourself in that situation? That's probably quite easy for you to do. But the way out of that, the way to feel, I don't even want to say more confident, because the point of this video is not to make you feel more confident, because I think confidence is just a BS label. I was crippled by shyness. I'm now comfortable doing these videos, not because I'm more confident, but because I've healed the voices, the feelings, the pain from my past that told me I wasn't good enough, I wasn't worthy. Does it still come up for me? 100%. Has it come up for me 100 times during recording this video? 100%. The voice is there saying, John, you don't know what you're on about. Who's going to listen to you? What the actual... But my body, I'm connected to my body. I'm not disconnected. I'm not that crazy in my head person anymore. So in my body, I feel calmer and I can take that breath. It regulates my nervous system and I feel okay. So back to the exercise. Once you've written down a time when you didn't feel confident, you struggled and all that painful, horrible stuff, have a think and take your time with this. With a piece of paper, ideally. I prefer writing these things, it's better, old school. And just think of a time where you did feel confident, where you felt at peace, you felt at ease. What were you doing? Who were you with? How did it feel? And I urge you to pay attention to, if you can remember, so try and keep it recently, maybe within the last few months or weeks or days if possible. How did your body feel? Did you feel loose? Did you feel expansive? When we reconnect with ourselves, get back to a state of connection, people usually report, who I've worked with and in myself and who I've seen, bigger, more expansive. We feel like we're home. We feel like we truly are ourselves. We feel at peace. So just describe, just write down and just let the pen write. Don't overthink how it felt in that situation. And ultimately, the more we look at those times where we did feel confident and don't compare and don't overthink and don't worry about what we should be and pay more attention to what we are and who we are, then this stuff, this idea of confidence and being more confident just melts away. As I say, I've done things in my life that I never thought possible. I sang on stage in a production of Jesus Christ Superstar. I'm doing these videos. When I started out doing this, Facebook Lives, I was bright red. It was horrible. And I actually had a coach just share that story just still with me. And he gave that advice, you've got to do it. And my first video, I was in a state of, my nervous system was in a freeze. It was terrible advice. I hated it. I was sweating. I was bright red. And I got rid of that coach because clearly I wasn't ready to be doing the work. I needed to heal the voice, the feelings inside me that told me I wasn't good enough. And once those are healed, we don't become confident people. We just become ourselves, who we truly are, in whatever shape, form, way that looks to you, not to anyone else. You're doing this for you, not to please your family, your partner, your boss, your colleagues, whoever. The person that you want to be, truly deep down in here, is the person that you want to become. And maybe that is somebody that wants to speak on stage, and maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just somebody who's quietly happy to, scurry around like a little mouse. And maybe that's who you are, that's who you're meant to be. And if you do have this idea in your head that you're broken and you're not enough, if you check out this video next, then it will go into more detail and explain how you can work through that. I really hope this has been helpful. It's the first time that I've kind of taught like this, so I'd love to hear your feedback, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Have a beautiful day. Big love. John.